The goal of this video is to give you insight onto the differences between a captive insurance model and an independent insurance model. And hopefully by the end of this video, you will be able to determine which system you feel is best for you. Captive insurance by definition means that they only sell one carrier, or they work with one IMO exclusively, one insurance marketing organization exclusively, and they do not hold contracts with other IMOs or other insurance carriers if that insurance carrier is not contracted with that IMO. So essentially, their insurance contract is kept in a two-way relationship and there is no outside business being done. That's the basic definition of it. So if you go into insurance and you're captive, you're really only going to sell one company or maybe a couple other companies. If you're independent, you have access to a variety of other companies, a variety of other different products, and it will kind of give you a lot more versatility on what you can sell. There are some situations where that is a very good thing, and there are some situations where that is not a good thing. It's really going to be up to you to figure out what you want to accomplish in the life insurance industry. Hey, is captive better for me or is independent? So the first thing I'm going to go into are commissions. Your commission percentage is more dependent on, number one, what does that company provide to you? Number two, you have to pay for your own leads and pay for your own business capital and startup costs. So there are some single carrier and captive organizations that will provide a lot of business capital and help you cover startup costs like buying leads, a CRM, administrative support. Sometimes they'll help you pay for technology and other softwares that you may need to start your business. Whereas most independent models, you have to come up with all that capital on your own. There are some single carrier and captive systems where you do have to come up with that stuff on your own, but commission percentages usually are based on how much you have to spend. If you want a really high commission percentage, you're probably going to have to spend money to get your business going. You're going to have to buy leads and you're going to be really responsible for everything, as opposed to the trade-off where you lower your commission percentage on each sale, but you get more provided to you. So essentially the idea is that you can make more sales. So it comes down to, hey, are you going to be responsible for everything? Or are you going to let someone help you with it? And that really comes down to you as an agent. Usually, if you have things provided to you when you're starting out, it's a little easier and it's a little more forgiving because you don't have to lose any money to get going, right? There are a lot of people who get into this business and then they actually lose a bunch of money because they invest money and they don't make any sales. So they're actually in the hole. Whereas in a system where you have a lower commission percentage, but everything's provided to you, you can't actually lose money. If you don't make any sales, you're not going to make money, but you won't lose money. On the flip side though, sometimes having that financial investment for yourself actually causes you to work harder. The system that I have set up here at our agency is a captive model where we have a lower commission percentage, but we provide agents with everything that they need, like leads and customer support and a CRM and a ton of training. But what I see from newly licensed agents typically is they come in and they don't give it the same amount of effort and commitment as independent agents do, who have to pay for their own stuff, even if it's with a single carrier or a captive company. And that's really because a lot of times the more someone is invested financially into something, the more that they're actually going to be invested emotionally as well. But in terms of commission percentages and commissions between captive and independent, someone can be successful in either system. It really depends what you're looking for, right? Where you have to invest all the money into your own business, they are probably not going to really care how much you work, probably be more flexible, more able to do it part-time or full-time. That's kind of up to you. But if you get into a system where someone's going to supply those things for you, usually, not always, but usually that organization is going to expect a higher level of commitment. Now, a lot of those organizations are 1099, but if you're not looking to give this a full effort, then this may not be the fit for you. They'll usually put some sort of production targets in place you simply wouldn't be able to hit if you are working part-time unless you're exceptional. So if you're trying to do this as like a part-time gig or side hustle, you are much more likely to fit into an organization where they have a higher commission percentage, but you have to pay for everything, as opposed to a company with a lower commission percentage where they take care of a bunch of stuff because they are going to expect you to put in the effort with the resources that they provide to you. Typically, the people who I see make the most money in this business, and this just goes from who I see share their income statements and share their paychecks and share their 1099s and all that stuff, are people in captive organizations or single carrier organizations. I rarely see people in independent organizations share their 1099s and W-2s and stuff like that on social media when they're prompted to. They may share like one line of a bank deposit or something like that. Probably biased because I'm in a captive organization, so I'm associated with a lot of single carrier or captive organization people, whether it's with us or with other organizations out there. But typically the people who I see make the most money from a business building standpoint are people in captive system. But they got in to build a business. They didn't get into this just to sell insurance. Another thing too, before I get into actually the business building aspect of it, is chargebacks. If you're in an independent model and you're selling a bunch of different carriers, chargebacks can get you in trouble really quickly, because if you're selling a bunch of different companies, you're spreading your business out thin, essentially. People will do this and make this mistake. So if you're getting into independent, just be careful that you don't spread your business too thin, because if you are selling with a carrier only under like certain situations and then you get a chargeback with that carrier, you're then going to have to like purposely write a deal with that carrier again to kind of catch up with that chargeback so that you don't get put on vector with that carrier and then, affecting other contracts you hold and stuff like that. So in a single carrier and captive system, chargebacks are much easier to keep up with because they're either just directly with that one carrier. So any business that you write is going to be taking place of that chargeback, or in a captive system where all the commissions are pulled together, it's easy because any business that you write, regardless of what carrier it's with, is going to help offset that chargeback. So like if you got into the business to just sell insurance or be part-time, independent model is probably definitely best for you. Or if you want to be like a one-stop shop for insurance, there's different ways to scale out a business. I think one way that you can scale out an insurance business is by selling like everything, right? So if you want to sell life insurance and health insurance and annuities, auto insurance and homeowners insurance and all these types of insurances, then of course independent is going to be probably the best model for you, because you can scale out from the standpoint of, hey, I'm going to sell a ton of different products to my clients instead of just like one or two or three or whatever. If you're looking to scale from a business growth standpoint, meaning have a lot of people working under you, then typically what I've seen is that captive and single carrier systems are easier to scale from that perspective, where you have a business with a lot of people. And this is because it's easier to teach and duplicate yourself if you're only selling one product and you only have to teach people how to sell one or two or three products of the same type, right? So like either one carrier for life insurance or a couple carriers to sell the same life insurance product. It's easier to scale that and teach people to build a business from that standpoint than it is to teach someone how to sell like a ton of different products. Like New York Life, massive insurance company. They have like 700 billion assets and assets under management and like 300 billion in like reserves or general account investments or whatever. Their agents only work with them. They can only sell their life insurance and their annuities and their other long-term care and stuff like that. So those type of companies can be a one-stop shop for a bunch of different products, but they're very established and they have strict systems in place for what they're doing. And they have a scalable system from the standpoint of they've been doing it for 200 years and they know how to teach these things and pass it down. At the beginning, I talked about how in a independent model, you have access to a lot more carriers, and in a captive model, it's really just one or maybe a few different insurance companies that you have access to. There are pros and cons to that with each system. In a captive system or single carrier, the pros are typically that it's easier to learn underwriting, it's easier to learn the products, and the marketing may be more effective because you can advertise with that specific company. Say the name of your company is like Senior Solutions Insurance Company, and you are marketing Senior Solutions Insurance Company advertisements, and then you call and you say, hey, this is XYZ from Senior Solutions Insurance Company. It's an established company that's been in business for a long time, and there's like everything matches the marketing and the pitch. The credibility is a little easier to establish because people won't assume that you are maybe doing something fraudulent or not acting in their best interest. Whereas like Geico, right? Like if I call Geico and someone says they work for Geico, I'm not going to question whether or not they are who they say they are. But if it's some like random person online that's like, John Doe's insurance agency, and I'm like, I don't really know who this guy is. I don't know what companies he represents, stuff like that. So from a credibility and a marketing standpoint, it can kind of be like Wild Wild West, where kind of everybody just does their own thing, or you have to buy from lead vendors who are marketing not really with the carrier's name on it. But there's pros and cons to that. Typically with a single carrier captive model, what I've seen, there's usually more frequent training. So I've worked with a couple independent models, and there was maybe like one or two training calls a week, access to some videos and some other file sharing networks. And in a captive organization I've been in, there are multiple training sessions every single week, if not every single day. There's usually a higher investment into the development of each individual agent, because of how the system is structured, whether people are paid a salary to train. Rarely going to get a salaried paid trainer in an independent model. Overall, the single carrier or captive organizations are going to have the most frequent training, and from what I've seen, the highest quality training out there. And a lot of it comes from that expectation of a full-time effort, right? So like if you're looking to get into this part-time, don't expect a full-time training commitment from your upline. It's not going to happen. This is not to say that there are not good trainers in independent systems. I'm saying from my own experience, if you're in an independent system and you're like, man, I want more training, there are plenty of people out there who sell training courses, or you can watch YouTube and learn from different videos. I host trainings twice a day for new agents. I have one-on-ones with people all through the week. I probably have 20 to 30 different one-on-one training sessions all throughout the week. And I manage time to do all these videos and everything else, but that's why I expect that high commitment from agents when they work. So if you're getting into somewhere with like, yeah, you can work part-time, it's cool, we don't care how much you work, that's okay if that's what you want, right? But you can't expect them to give you a crazy huge investment in return to help you train. So a lot of that is going to be on your own. So overall, let's say, hey, what are you looking to get out of this industry, right? If you want a ton of training, a ton of commitment invested into you, and you're looking for one single product or one single thing to sell and get really good at that one single thing, captive or single carrier is the way to go. If you're looking to be a one-stop shop for insurance, have a ton of flexibility and offer your client whatever they need for insurance, and you want to be able to get people the best deal on insurance all the time, then independent broker is definitely the way to go for you. So it really depends however you want to scale it out. That's overall the differences between independent and captive or single carrier. There are tons of different IMOs out there. If you'd like information on what we do here, just email me at jve@thejve.com. You can drop a comment in there. If you disagree with anything I say, I'd be more than happy to talk about it and bring it up. And if you agree with anything I have, I'd like to know what you agree with. And I hope this helped you learn about the differences between independent and captive insurance models. Thank you.